I'm secretly married to Adrian, Manhattan's crown prince. Before the wedding he warned me with an ice-cold face, 3 ironclad rules. No sharing a bed, no hugging, no kissing. I rolled my eyes. Who did he think he was, some irresistible prize? After the wedding the man turned into someone else, climbing into my bed every single night. Finally I couldn't take it and kicked him out. You wrote those rules yourself. Rubbing his back, he gave me the most innocent look. Baby, my brain short-circuited that day. Before we go on, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. I'm a novelist. My new release blew up, and now I've got a talk show invitation. On the show the host asked, Vance, your new novel about the swapped lives of real and fake heiresses is fantastic. Where did the inspiration come from? I smiled faintly. Art copies life. It's a friend's story. The friend is me. Yes, I'm the fake heiress. The daughter mom spoiled for 20-something years until the hospital called, babies switched at birth. The news hit me like lightning, I refused to believe it. Mom did too, comforting me while her heart broke for the child who'd grown up in a group home. 2 days of consoling me, then she flew her biological daughter home. She even took her to change her legal name. At first Ruby demanded we trade names, then she changed her mind, whining that she didn't want anything used. After days of tantrums Mom hired a numerologist to invent a brand new name. By coincidence, the Vances and the Hawthorns have a dynasty pact. Grandpa and Grandpa were war buddies, they betrothed me to Adrian when we were toddlers. But the contract was for the true Vance heiress, not a counterfeit like me. When Grandpa's health dipped, he urged the Vances to hurry the wedding along. Mom kept hinting that I should explain to Adrian, the girl he should marry is the newly returned Ruby, not imposter Serena. That Sunday Adrian asked me to dinner. Sitting across from him, I laid it all out, every detail of how I'm not Mom's biological child. He listened in silence. Unconsciously, I picked at the soft skin of my palm while I watched him. Adrian, that's the truth. The woman you're supposed to marry isn't me. After ages he finally spoke. Finished? I nodded. Yeah. Adrian sat ruler straight, shirt sleeves rolled, gold-rimmed glasses glinting, pure elite. I said I'm marrying you, so I'm marrying you. Anyone else is irrelevant. My foggy brain took a moment to reboot. Oh, I said at last, as if that answered everything. Fine, have it your way, so dramatic. With that, he offered to drive me back to the Vance townhouse. I declined out of reflex, he ignored the refusal. No one was coming for me anyway, the family chauffeur now orbited Ruby, so I accepted. As I opened the car door he spoke in that same boardroom tone. Come to the company tomorrow. We'll iron out specifics. Sounded like merger negotiations, not a marriage. I thanked him with a smile. See you tomorrow. Next morning I cabbed to Hawthorne. His assistant escorted me to a conference room. She poured water and slid over a folder. Vance, please sign the prenup. I expected pages of asset clauses, instead one sheet carried 3 bullet points. 3 ironclad rules, no sharing a bed, no hugging, no kissing. Adrian's signature sat in the bottom right. The man's ego could fill Central Park. He valued his body more than his billions, never occurred to him I might divorce and run off with half. Wedding preparations went into hyperdrive, signed prenup to alter in under 2 weeks. Apart from showing up for vows and the license, I did zero planning. The night before, Adrian rang out of nowhere, tomorrow, makeup trial. The ceremony took place at St. Patrick's, just us and the priest. Neither set of parents attended. Mom had whisked Ruby off on a jet to Capri, why Adrian's parents stayed away I had no clue. After the vows I moved into his Fifth Avenue mansion. A strange house, yet I breathed easier, life at home had become suffocating. Everyone revolved around Ruby, I was the spare part. I understood, if my own daughter had survived on charity while I sipped lattes uptown, I'd spoil her rotten too. Understanding didn't stop the sting. Ruby's hostility poured out the moment she saw me. Life was unfair, cue tears. To calm her, Mom banned me from family dinners. I ate alone, sneaking through my own home like a burglar. In Adrian's townhouse, he occupied the third floor, I was given the second. Wedding night 1, he never came home. Lewis told me to call, I did, no answer. I shrugged and informed her he was staying out. He was still absent when I came down for breakfast next morning. No feelings between us, but a groom vanishing on his wedding night still feels off. I texted a friend to vent. Because our marriage was a secret and the proposal last minute, even my best friend didn't know I'd tied the knot. I didn't tell her we're married, not because of the secret marriage, but mainly because I find Adrian completely unlikable. I don't even like him, so there's no reason to bring it up. My friend thought I'd come to trade gossip and gleefully dove into Adrian's romantic resume. You were abroad, so you probably missed it. See those wooden prayer beads on his wrist? Word is his ex got them for him. He guards them like holy relics. Netizens nicknamed him the Buddha of Manhattan. The Buddha of Manhattan? What kind of nickname is that? Ugh, wearing beads doesn't make you devoted. If he really loved her so much, he should have gone after her. Marrying me while hung up on someone else? Disgusting. I was speechless. After a long silence I muttered, total scumbag. That night the scumbag came home, bearing flowers. I had no idea which screw in his head had come loose, but the bouquet set me on edge. I kept worrying it carried some hidden message. I thanked him, took the flowers, and asked Lewis to arrange them in the vase. While accepting them I snuck a look at his wrist. Sure enough, a string of beads, whether prayer beads or not, I couldn't tell. They looked oddly familiar, yet I couldn't place where I'd seen them. Lewis laid out a full spread, every dish a favorite of mine. Adrian and I sat on opposite sides of the table. He didn't lift his chopsticks, so neither could I simply stared, waiting for him to start. For whatever reason, he kept staring back and refused to eat. My stomach growled in protest, I itched to serve him myself. We locked eyes like rivals until, finally, he picked up a glossy braised prawn and placed it in my bowl. Then, lips twitching in a half-smile, he said, Serena, if you have something to say, just say it. The old rule, take someone's food, soften your mouth. I returned the favor, scooping spicy diced chicken into his bowl and beaming, it's nothing big, just that Hawthorne looks especially handsome today. A throwaway compliment, yet he twisted it into proof I was hitting on him. His face darkened, he gave me a long, level look. Kindly respect yourself, Vance. I couldn't help rolling my eyes. The ego on this guy, unbelievable. Still, I'm living under his roof right now, I shouldn't poke the bear. Alright, got it, my little prima donna. Damn it, why did that line slip out? I groaned inwardly, peeking at his face through slitted eyes. Sure enough, he'd turned green, and after that he ignored me entirely, focusing on his food. Fine by me, less talking meant less trouble. We finished the meal without another word. That night I soaked in the tub, lit scented candles, watched half a movie in bed, and dozed off. I woke up boiling hot. Someone large was pressed against my back, radiating heat. Fear iced my spine, was some pervert in my bed? I inched sideways until I could peek over my shoulder, and nearly shrieked. The intruder was Adrian. When and how had he crawled in? Relief replaced terror, replaced fresh outrage. I clicked on the bedside lamp. In its glow I saw his arm slung across my waist, his head nestled between my shoulder blades, sleeping like a baby. How rich, the man who'd told me to respect myself was now spooning me without permission. Disgusting. While cursing his hypocrisy I tried to shove him off. Fat chance. I'm no match for his strength, the more I pushed, the tighter he clutched. Fed up and roasting, I twisted free one hand and slapped him clean across the face. That woke him. Adrian jolted awake, loosening his hold. I bolted out of bed and flicked on the overhead lights. They dazzled him, he rubbed his eyes, bewildered. Spotting his reddened cheek, I rubbed my own tingling palm, guess I'd put real muscle into it. I'd meant to unleash a lecture the instant the lights came on, but his dazed innocence made me feel slightly guilty. After all, I'd hit him. He looked at me, all wounded confusion. "Baby, what's wrong?" "Baby? Who, me?" I scowled, thoroughly annoyed. "Don't be shameless, Adrian. Who are you calling baby?" Only after I snapped did I remember, legally, I am his baby. The retort seemed to clear the sleep from his brain, his gaze sharpened into something predatory. "You hit me?" My head shook before my mouth could catch up. "No, no way, I'd never hit you." He pressed. "Really didn't hit me?" As if I'd confess and hand him ammunition. Just as I prepared to double down, it hit me. I'm the injured party here, why let him interrogate me? "What were you doing in my room?" Checkmate. He went mute, climbed out of bed, and strode from the room without a backward glance, movements crisp and efficient. Sleepwalking disorder? I forked strawberries while chatting with Lewis, who was trimming stems for a floral arranging hobby. Yes, the young master has had it since childhood. The attacks come whenever he's under pressure. Doctors never found a cure. She sighed, full of maternal pity for him. Mystery solved, so that's his affliction. Last night I'd nearly convinced myself he was a closet psychopath and considered moving out. I popped a berry and mumbled, "That's rough." "Rough?" The voice behind me made me jump. Adrian had appeared on the bottom stair. Nothing beats the awkwardness of gossiping about someone who overhears. I twisted so fast I rolled right off the couch. My kneecap cracked against the coffee table, pain stole my breath, and I curled up clutching my leg. A moment later I heard footsteps. I guessed it was Adrian. Within seconds I was being lifted and set down on the couch. The instant I caught that familiar woody scent, I knew it really was Adrian. I lay there, humming and murmuring in protest. After a minute he fetched an ice pack, helped me sit up, and pushed my pajama pants all the way above my knees. "It's going to feel cold, bear with it." I grabbed the waistband of my pajamas and answered awkwardly, "Okay." Honestly, by now it barely hurt anymore. That's how bumped knees are, pain flares, then fades. Watching Adrian support my calf with one hand while icing me with the other, I pursed my lips, reached out, and tapped his fingertip, reddened from the chill. "Adrian, I think the vibe between us is getting a little ambiguous." Adrian didn't answer at all. It was as if he hadn't heard me. He removed the ice pack, tugged my pajamas back into place, and said evenly, "Come home with me tonight." Confused, I asked, "Which home?" It couldn't be the Vance house. Ever since Adrian and I had married, Mom hadn't contacted me once. They blamed me for clinging to him and forcing him into the marriage. I'd explained over and over that I'd never deceived him or hung on to him, but they refused to believe it. The moment Ruby cried, they believed nothing else. Whatever the issue, one word from Ruby and it became my fault. Adrian handed the ice pack to Lewis. "Back to the Hawthorne estate, Grandpa misses you." Then he stood, plucked a few tissues, and wiped his hands. "I'm heading to the office, I'll pick you up later." He'd just done me a favor, so I couldn't pretend I hadn't heard. I waved at him. "All right, drive safe." At first I thought visiting the Hawthorns would be routine. After all, since our secret marriage I still hadn't met his parents or grandmother and grandfather Hawthorne, and they'd always treated me kindly, so I felt no pressure. I pictured everything going smoothly, until I actually arrived and realized it was anything but simple. Turns out every Hawthorne except Adrian opposed our marriage. I discovered my mom and Ruby were there too. Adrian stepped through the door first. Hawthorne welcomed him with a smile. When she spotted me behind him her face froze, though she quickly caught herself and greeted me. "Serena's here as well." I nodded. I'm not dense," her tone told me she hadn't known I was coming. Maybe Grandpa hadn't missed me at all. "Adrian, you liar." I reached out and pinched his arm in revenge. He suddenly reached toward me, thinking he'd pinch back. I flinched, only to have him lace his fingers through mine and force our hands together. "Mom, Serena is your daughter-in-law, isn't it normal for her to come home?" Hawthorne shot him a look and snapped his name, but in the end she said nothing. Adrian took me upstairs to see Grandpa. The old man was in fine spirits, practicing calligraphy in his study, clearly fully recovered. "Grandpa." I followed Adrian's greeting. "Hello, Grandpa." Seeing us, Grandpa set down his brush. "There you are, good kids." After a bit of chat he said he had something for me. I assumed it would be one of his calligraphic pieces, but no, he produced a bracelet, the Hawthorne family heirloom. Something that valuable felt too heavy for me to accept. Just as I started to refuse, he took a box from the bookshelf and pulled out the jade bracelet. He thrust it straight at Adrian in a tone that brooked no argument. "Adrian, put it on the girl." Adrian always obeyed his grandfather. He took the bracelet, grasped my hand, and clasped the jade around my wrist. I leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Is it all right to take this?" Once it was fastened, he held my hand again. "If Grandpa gives it to you and you like it, keep it." Only when we sat down at the table did I realize diners weren't limited to the Hawthorns. My mom and Ruby were present too. What did that mean? Baffled, I looked at Adrian. He pulled out my chair as if nothing were amiss. Clearly he'd known the Van Cess would be here. Ruby sat opposite me. From the instant I took my seat she glared, even flicking an eye roll my way. I knew her game and couldn't be bothered. I greeted the person beside her. "Mom." Mom gave a curt nod. Nothing more, no smile, no inquiry about me. Even Grandpa had asked whether Adrian bullied me, insisting he'd punish him if so. Suddenly I felt a pang of loss. This family was drifting away from me. I no longer seemed part of it. The meal's atmosphere was strained. I guessed I hadn't originally been on the guest list, hence the awkwardness. "Baby, eat a bit more." Adrian kept piling food into my bowl and ladling soup for me. He had never called me that in public. As the saying goes, when things get unusual, there's mischief afoot. Who knew what act he was staging? Study everyone's faces, except for the two of us. Nobody looked happy. The heirloom bracelet was on my left wrist. When I lifted the spoon it showed clearly. Adrian tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "Careful, it's hot, sip slowly." Suddenly Hawthorne barked Adrian's name, tone sharp. "Pretty bold, aren't you, stealing the jade bracelet to give to Serena?" I set my spoon down and looked at him. "It came from Grandpa." Without waiting for her comeback Adrian clasped my hand again. "We're full, we're heading home." Adrian's car stereo was playing my favorite songs. I couldn't help smiling. Turned out our tastes lined up nicely. Eyes closed, I let the evening replay like a whirling slideshow across my mind. I'm so annoyed. I'd been turning it over and over in my head, and I still couldn't figure it out. While we were stopped at a red light, Adrian spoke. "Did you get enough to eat back there?" His question yanked me out of my spiral. Suddenly it hit me, why not just ask Adrian? He knew everything. I stared straight at him and asked, certain he had the answer. "I wasn't actually invited to that dinner, was I?" Adrian went quiet. He didn't say a word. Even without a reply, I knew I'd guessed right. Silence was always his way of admitting I'd cornered him. He's like that. If he doesn't know what to say, he simply says nothing. We rode the rest of the way in silence. Back at the penthouse, I went straight upstairs and showered. When I came out, there was a text from Adrian telling me to come down. I found him in the dining room, 2 bowls of noodles waiting on the table. I'd been a little hungry before. The sight of those noodles made me ravenous. "Did you cook these yourself?" I asked. Lewis was off duty by now, so it couldn't have been her. "Uh-huh. Sit and eat," he said, pulling out my chair. After we finished, I automatically started stacking dishes. "You cooked." I clean felt like basic fairness to me. Adrian shook his head. "I've got them." I didn't argue for long. I let him have his way. Good thing, too, I hate washing dishes. Upstairs, I wrote for 2 solid hours, then called it a night. Before climbing into bed I hesitated, lock the door or not. If I locked it and Adrian sleepwalked again, he'd slam right into solid wood. If I left it open, he might wander in. He wasn't exactly warm to me, but he wasn't cruel either. I dithered, then left it unlocked. If he showed up again, I'd take it as proof and finally have the talk. Tomorrow the door would stay locked. I'd barely settled under the covers when thunder rolled outside, loud enough to rattle the windows. By my third toss and turn, I accepted the ugly truth. I was pulling an all-nighter. Just then I heard the soft click of the latch. My door swung open, Adrian, again. Tomorrow, I vowed, that lock is going on. I sat bolt upright and flicked on the bedside lamp. Seriously, what are you doing in here? Only then did I notice his eyes were open. This wasn't another sleepwalking episode. Don't tell me you're scared of thunder? I asked, half joking. Because short of that, I had zero clue why he'd seek me out. Yeah, a little, he admitted. I exhaled, tugged the blanket to the right, and patted the freed space. Come up, then. We lay side by side in the dark, listening to rain and thunder roll across Manhattan. A week later, I showed up at our high school reunion. Stella came with me. The first familiar face I spotted was the last one I expected, Ruby. She hadn't gone to our school. Something felt off. I leaned close to Stella. Who brought her? Stella jerked her chin toward the far corner. Liam did. Sure enough, Liam had an arm hooked around Ruby's waist, the picture of cozy. No idea when those two had hooked up. Back in 10th grade, Liam had chased me hard and dirty. I told him no, so he started a rumor mill that painted me the school tramp. I finally dragged him behind the gym and introduced him to 10 years of taekwondo. His mother demanded damages, my parents cut a check, end of scandal. I've loathed him ever since, just looking at him still turns my stomach. Serena, or should I say, wannabe Vance? I turned. A classmate I couldn't even name smirked at me. I ignored her. I don't feed trolls. Still playing heiress? Everyone knows some sugar daddy keeps you. What's to act proud about? She appended her drink over my head. Ice-cold wine stung my eyes shut. Stella shoved a napkin at me. Blot fast, babe. Gasps erupted around us a second later. Stella had grabbed the nearest cocktail and hurled it straight back, snarling, "You psycho bitch." Liam stepped in front of Ruby like a shield. Serena, you spent high school harassing Ruby and you're still at it tonight? Ruby's eyes welled on cue. She was vicious then, but this is worse. I didn't think. I slapped him clean across the face. My life is none of your business, but you're still every bit the sleaze you were at 17. Saying it felt amazing. I'd seen enough. This reunion was an ambush. I grabbed Stella and headed out. Stella fired a parting shot over her shoulder. You two slimeballs deserve each other. Outside, Adrian's car idled at the curb. He'd come to pick me up. Your man's here, Stella said, squeezing my arm. I nodded. Yeah. She pinched my cheek. Go. Don't waste tears on garbage. I slid into the back seat. Adrian asked nothing, he simply handed me a packet of tissues. I set the tissues aside and studied his profile. Adrian, can I have a hug? Honestly, I expected him to refuse, our prenup outlawed affection. But he didn't. I could really use one right now. He answered, okay, and opened his arms. I wrapped mine around his neck, cheek to his shoulder, and mumbled into his shirt, your 3 ironclad rules said no hugs. He stroked my damp hair. That contract died ages ago. The unfairness crashed over me again. I didn't do anything wrong, why am I the one paying for everything? Adrian's voice was low. It isn't your fault. Something in the simple sentence snapped the last threads holding me together. Tears streamed down, impossible to stop. Yeah, I didn't do anything wrong, but Mom didn't either, and neither did Ruby. Nobody's to blame, so how did everything end up like this? Adrian let go of me and dabbed away my tears. Don't cry, baby. It's okay. I was still drowning in sorrow and didn't even register what he'd said. I just stared at him, aggrieved. No more hugs? Save the hug for when we're home. The warmth lasted maybe 30 seconds. The minute we walked through the door, Adrian switched gears again. He insisted on staging a truth or dare night. Fine, truth it is. Judging by appearances, he's hiding way more secrets than I am. This ought to be juicy. Lewis brought up a plate of homemade cookies and cupcakes, plus 2 bottles of wine for good measure. I'd already polished off 2 cookies and Adrian still hadn't opened his mouth. I pulled a napkin, wiped my fingers, and locked eyes with him. Mind if I go first? Shoot. I leaned back and looked him up and down, but when it came time to speak, my mind went blank. Then I noticed the strand of beads circling his wrist. I'd been curious forever, so the question just slipped out. Where'd you get that bracelet? Adrian answered flatly, a friend gave it to me. A girlfriend is technically a friend, huh? Ugh, typical player, smooth excuse. I pouted. Which friend? My turn, he said, ignoring my follow-up. Right, 1 question each. I poured myself a glass and magnanimously waved a hand. Fire away. Do you like me? I hadn't even swallowed my sip when those words sent it down the wrong pipe. I coughed hard enough to rattle my ribs. Adrian actually came over and thumped my back. I waved him off and motioned for him to park himself again. I was fine. I pondered the answer. Hate him? Definitely not. Love him? That word suddenly felt terrifyingly accurate. Oh crap, I've really fallen for him. After a moment I looked at him and drawled, I think I might actually like you a little. Adrian's expression didn't flicker. You'd never guess someone had just confessed to him. Got it. Your turn. This time I was smarter, aim straight, no wiggle room. Who's the first love girl who gave you that bracelet? He fired back without hesitation. You. A phone call yanked Adrian away, and he didn't return all night. I stayed home and turned the puzzle over until dawn, still clueless about when I could have possibly given him prayer beads. Next morning Stella's ringtone jolted me awake. I answered from my pillow. What's up? Honey, check the trending tab, you're on it. Hashtag Rising Author vs Hawthorne CEO. Hashtag Feels Like Fiction Come to Life. Adrian had posted our marriage announcement on Hawthorne's corporate site. He'd also created a Twitter account and followed only me. I could die of secondhand embarrassment. I couldn't even look at my own hashtag. I uninstalled Twitter outright. Stella cackled through the phone. Adrian's got game. I used to think he was a coward with all that secret marriage stuff. Turns out he was saving the grand gesture. I sat up and groaned. Stop. I'm mortified. Adrian finally showed at dusk. I was camped on the sofa mid-game when he slid beside me. The instant I saw him I blurted, when exactly did I give those beads to you? I'd been obsessing all day, 1 more minute and I'd combust. He set a bouquet on the coffee table, then clammed up again. I shot him a sidelong glare. If you don't answer, you're banned from my bedroom tonight. Adrian slipped the strand off and placed it in my palm. You gave them to me when we were kids. Don't you remember? I dropped the controller and examined the beads. Sure enough, one of the wooden spheres bore my initials, painstakingly carved. And then it hit me, I really had made this thing. I must have been tiny, learning to string beads from one of the housekeepers. I'd cut my finger trying to engrave my name. The whole scene came back, along with how I'd handed it over. Even little me had standards. A gorgeous boy had visited the house, and I trailed him everywhere. Big brother, this is for you. I'd declared, forcing the bracelet onto his wrist. The boy had regarded me coolly. What do you want in return? Big brother, give me a kiss. I'd tapped my cheek. He hadn't moved, so I'd popped up on tiptoe and kissed his cheek myself. I just never realized that boy was Adrian. I ran my thumb over the initials. To hide my panic, I kept my eyes on the beads, pretending I was still stumped. I honestly can't recall when I gave this to you. He'd been telling everyone his first love gifted it to him, and a wild theory hatched in my brain. I handed the bracelet back, voice uncertain. Adrian, don't tell me you've liked me since we were that small? He admitted it without a trace of shame. Yep. I've been in love with you for years. That shut me up. Adrian tilted my chin so I had to meet his eyes, grinning. Now that we're grown, do you still want that kiss from Big Brother? The word brother set my face on fire. I slapped my hand over his mouth to shut him up. The end. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing tales. See you next time.